Start with $100. Now, I'm going to retype this whole thing again. We're going to learn, though, that you can copy and paste the decimals. When we do the daily compound, I'm actually going to copy one of the last ones and drop it down. We'll just go ahead and pick the number. Is that okay? Okay, good stuff. All right, dear friends. $100 invested once times, okay, here we go. 1 plus, I need a fraction. Has anybody figured out what the shortcut for fraction is in decimals? I never have. Is it like Control F or something like that? Nope, not Control F, that's fine. I'm just going to use the damn button. I don't know what the hell. I'm sure it's got a shortcut. I don't know what it is yet. I only started using decimals like 5 months ago. Because I didn't know about it. Ah, Kristania found it. The division symbol. Ah, Kristania, thank you. It's the slash symbol. If you hit slash, you get the fraction. That's cool. I assumed it was control something, but that's beautiful. Slash gives you a fraction, or the button gives you a fraction. Your choice. Okay, let's fill it in. 0.04, 4% interest. But we have to cut it into how many pieces over the year? Thank you. Now, get outside the parentheses. Get outside the parentheses, because that's all we're going to have in the parentheses. We now have to raise it to a power. What power are we going to raise it to? 520. Why?
520 weeks in 10 years.
Because you have 52 weeks each year. So it's 52 the first year, 52 the second year, 52 the third year, so forth, so on, so forth, so on. That's going to end up being 520. 520th power. I'm going to press enter again. Hillary is still not impressed. But is it not a little bit more money? So much. $100 is stupid because it's such a little amount of money. We're talking about, what is that? 7 more cents, 8 more cents maybe. But remember, that's a percentage really. I mean, yes, it's a dollar amount here, but that is a percentage over life, dependent on how much money you put in. So yes, it's 8 cents extra on every dollar. But if you can invest enough money in there, that actually does become real money. It reminds me of years ago, the company 3M invented solar panels that were shingles. You could cover your entire rooftop with shingles and make electricity. And the solar panels were incredibly inefficient. They were only about 4% efficient. But if you cover your whole roof with them, it doesn't matter that they're inefficient. It's kind of like going, have you ever seen the movie Office Space? It's the same thing as Office Space when they take all the rounded cents that get thrown away in calculations and divert them into a savings account. A half penny here, 3/4 of a penny here, a half penny here. If you're picking up enough, that becomes real money over time. Death by 1,000 cuts, so to speak. Okay, you badasses. So once again, we end up with a little bit more money than we did originally and with weekly compounding.
Dude,
Yes. Ask me that question. No, go.
My brain can't wrap around why.
Why it's more?
From year to month.
Why it's getting more?
I don't get it.
No, first of all, there's a reason your brain can't wrap around it. Because your brain thinks linearly. Your brain goes, oh, we took 4% and cut it into 52 equal pieces. Those add up to 4%. So 4% is 4% is 4%. The problem is exponentials don't work like that. Every time you compound, you get more than you had before. Your brain is only hung up. Mel, this is why we have formulas, honestly. You'll very rarely hear me say this in math, but this is why we have formulas, because our brains can't wrap around that idea. We don't think exponentially. Go ahead.
Are these like real, like you can get it set up? I don't know.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. They tell you what the APR is, and they tell you how often they compound. And then you can stick in how much you're going to deposit and figure out how much you're going to have in X number of years. Absolutely. Absolutely. Joe, go.
Can you break it down really simply as to the way the powers are growing as we're doing this?
The powers aren't growing at all. It's the value that the power creates that's growing, right?
Yeah.
And no, you can't because it's messy. It's kind of like over here. If I may. Okay, I'm gonna take a step back in time, Josie, to answer that question. We're gonna go back to the monthly compounding instead of the.
So really, when you ask what's the difference, it's just
More.
More.
That's all I'm asking is really it's more. And Josie, if that's what you're getting hung up on, I don't want you to get too hung up on it. All I want you all to see is the the more we compound, the more we're getting. That's really the big idea. I don't want you to get hung up in the math of what's happening in between. Go ahead, answer that question.
Well, I don't know.
Okay, think about it. I'll be here to answer what you can. Avery, go ahead. The 52 and the 12, I'm telling you, that's the number of compounds. So if it's monthly compounding, the denominator is 12 because you're doing it 12 months. If it's weekly compounding, the denominator is 52 because you're doing it 52 weeks. You have to be told in each problem how many compounds there are. If it's annual, technically speaking, this one up here that we did first, technically speaking, there's a denominator there too. 1. So you could write it as a fraction if you wanted to. Did you? Hold that thought, Matt. If you want to, I can take the original one and write this as a denominator of 1. It doesn't change the value at all. So, Avery, the question is, just read what kind of compounding it is, and that tells you what the denominator is going to be. You got it?
Yeah.
Now, what are you going to say? Oh, you sure? Oh, you're ahead of me. That's good too. Okay. Ready for the last one? Daily. Now, this isn't the last one. You can compound any number of intervals. The most common one that I've seen is monthly, weekly, sometimes, daily. I'm going to tell you a fun story about Haley. This is back to my story, but I was going to tell you I have a story to tie into what you did earlier. We'll do this one first, and then we'll tell you the funny story about how Sean screwed up his tax return one year. Daily compounding. What I've noticed about daily compounding is it's very rarely used as a savings account compound. It's often used as a penalty for screwing up taxes. But we'll come back to that.
365.
Thank you. 365 compounds. Now, I know there aren't exactly 365 days in a year, just like there aren't exactly 52 weeks in a year, just like as Hillary said, every month has a different number of days. But these are the numbers the banks use. And it really doesn't matter anyway, because all they're doing is taking the interest rate and dividing it up into the same number of pieces. And this again is why Desmos is so great. Because if you do 0.04 divided by that, it turns into a really nasty number. So don't let Desmos handle that. This is whenever you all are concerned about an answer you're getting on your homeworks or warm-ups, it's never due to the math. You're doing the math great. It's the rounding that's throwing you off. When you and your neighbors are getting slightly different results, it's because one of you rounded to 3 decimals and one of you rounded to 4. And then you're getting in fist fights about it, which I don't want you to do. I want you to stay friends. Pass math 101.
You know what we do with the, I'm probably not. No, I'm probably not.
Oh, you play the Sean, recovering Catholic, 1 foot 1/8 French Canadian. I'm sorry. I haven't done it yet. Let's do it right now.
I know, but.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. That's a comma. I thought that was a time sign. I thought it was 3 times 650. I got you now. Okay, here we go. Now, if you want, I'm going to offer this too. Desmos is pretty cool like this. I'm not sure how well this will work on a phone. You can copy and paste from lines above and then edit in that line. You see what I just did? I just grabbed the weekly compound and copied it down into the line. Does that work on a phone too? Can you copy and paste on a phone? I don't know if you can. I never use this on the phone. Okay, so if you can, just retype it. But I'm going to go ahead and copy paste. Or should I retype the whole thing? What do you think? We'll let you decide.
Keep going. You already did.
I already did it, but I also don't make sure that if people are working on their phone exclusively, they don't get lost. We're okay? Okay, we're okay. All right, here we go. $100 is $100. That one. Why is that one there again? Why is that one there?
That's your initial.
Say that again, Scotty.
It's your initial amount that you put in.
That one stands for the initial amount, 100% of that initial amount. Dear friend, I appreciate that so much. That's 100% of that initial amount. 1 stands for 100%. And this guy over here is the inflation that you're getting due to the investment. That plus sign is very important. If that were a minus sign, it would be deflating. But it's a plus sign because it's put in a bank account. All right, let's clean up the numbers though. We're compounding daily So that's gonna be 365 here. What do I have to change my exponent to? 3,000.
650.
Thank you, Kiana. 3,650 compounds. 3,650 compounds. Press enter. What do you notice one more time, dear friends? What do you notice one more time? This amount compared to weekly, compared to monthly, compared to annually. It's going up each time. It's not much, right? I mean, I know what Hillary's saying already. Hillary's saying it's not much at all. You're right. It's not much, but it is more. So the moral, the big moral is, if you have a choice in compounding, that's right. It's actually, and that represents a 1.15% increase. Because it's $1.15. What Melissa just said is 100% correct. She said it's $1.15 more than with annual compounding. Remember, we invested $100. $1 over $100 is a percent. So 1.15 is actually 1.15%.
Oh.
Now, again, not a ton of a percentage, but over a long period of time with more money, that could actually become real money by the end. Is that fair? This is the beginning of 2 days of savings analysis. I think we got a good lock on this one. I love that we learned Desmos. Desmos is a wonderful tool. It really does help. I don't like the fact that you can't put a dollar sign in there, but whatever. We can just put the dollar sign on there at the end. Some fiction. I like starting with these because the math, we can see the math pretty quickly. Here's the inefficiency of saving this way. Hardly anybody saves this way. Take a dollar amount one time, put it into a bank account, and forget about it for X number of years. Not the most efficient way of saving. I was about to ask, what is a more efficient way of saving? Maybe, which would give you more money saved. And then here's a question, Melissa. Let's suppose you delete your Amazon account this month, and you take that money and stick it in a savings account. And then let's say next month you're like, oh man, I also don't need X.
Right.
So I'm going to cancel Netflix.
Yeah.
But
Never.
shit, I already started that savings account back there with the Amazon money, so I guess I just have to spend this money. No, what can you do with that?
Can I up it?
You could add that money to your account the next week. And let's suppose a few more months go by, and you're like, actually, if I shop here versus here, I can save like $50 a month more than I was saving before. So maybe I should put that extra $50 a month, April, May. You see what we're doing now? We're not just investing money one time, we're investing money in chunks over time. Does that make sense? So this is great to understand kind of the math of the exponential growth. I think we get it now. We're going to make it one better on Tuesday, where we start investing regularly. So what happens if we invest once a year? This kid, in the very first question, invested $100 one time. What if we actually took $100 each year? $100 the first year, let it compound. $100 the next year, let it compound. $100 the year after that, let it compound, and so forth and so on and so forth.
Can you, with these, can you add more money each month and then go?
Yes, I think you have to. This is, Melissa, great question. It's similar to what Haley said before with her payment plan. It depends on the terms of what you signed up for. It depends on the terms. So the answer could be yes, or the answer could be no. I know a basic bank savings account is yes. Let's suppose you stick $100 in the first year, it sits there, it gains interest, and next year you throw a bunch more money in. The teller or whoever you talk to, customer service, which is not customer service at all, the fine print in 4-point font will say, we will start compounding that in year 2 or year 3. So yeah, most likely yeah, but you have to check what the actual fine print in those. Yeah, all those bank accounts have little tiny footnotes at the bottom. So you have to just read it, make sure. Avery, go ahead. You totally could. In biology, some of you are going to take biology. Some of you are going to take biology. Continuously. Compound. It doesn't make any sense with money, in my humble opinion. Because nobody compounds money continuously. But yeah, you could do it hourly. You could do it secondly. I've never seen either of those things happen. Yeah, all you gotta do, Avery, is take this and define it by how many compounds per year. Yeah. So hourly would be that times 24, whatever that is. Secondly would be that times 24, or minutely would be that times 24 times 60. Yeah, there you go. But I've never actually seen it happen. These are the main ones I see. I also see quarterly. So I'm going to give you the homework assignment. And I was going to return stuff. I do have a pile of stuff to return to you, which I will do here in a second when I find the homework. Let me give you this. This one has an extra credit opportunity on the bottom if you want it. You can also skip it if you read it and don't like it, because it requires you to go on and kind of learn something online. So 1 page for each. Oh, and the bottom of that note sheet, I'm sorry, I mentioned it earlier and then I said you're probably gonna ignore it first. At the bottom of the sheets we just did, I just kicked something. Okay. At the bottom of these, did I not give them to you? Worst. At the bottom of the sheet we just did, I gave you the template. One-time deposits. That P in the formula, they use P because a lot of economics types call it the principal, what you start the account with. I just call it the one-time deposit. That's what I call it.
What is this formula called?
What is the what?
What's the formula called?
It's just compounding. It's mathematical compound. I don't know if it has a name. Because it could be a. Did I give you anything? Yeah, kind of what you got. Tuesday, yes. Yes, Tuesday, yes. So this is the formula that we've been using all day. You're going to see a variant of it on Tuesday. It's going to be a little bit messier. I'll tell you that right now. I made a video to explain the next formula.
Oh, this is just like we already did that.
Yes!
It's making my brain go.
No. Melissa just noticed something. She's looking at this formula and going, wait a minute. According to this formula, these numbers should be two numbers multiplied together. We did it though when we did the math, right? We did 10 times whatever, 10 times whatever. So now, can you do it in Decimo? Melissa, may I?
You may.
Can I do it in decimos? Sure. So let's suppose we were down here doing this last one right here.
Yeah.
I'm going to copy and paste it again. And for whatever reason, we didn't do 10 times 365 in our head. So 10, now you got to be careful here with decimos. When I just tried to hit the time sign, did you see that?
It dropped down.
And it dropped it. So this is where you're getting a little bit, and we're going to talk about this more on Tuesday, because it shows up more on the Tuesday formula. You'd have to put that in parentheses
Oh,
to keep it up top. Does that make sense?
it does.
So that we were doing it mentally, so it really doesn't matter. But if you weren't trying to, if you were actually trying to put the exact thing in a decimals so it looks like that formula, you'd have to do it in parentheses. But nobody brought that up today, so I didn't talk about it. We'll talk about it on Tuesday. Okay, let me return some papers real quick. I was supposed to do this during your warm up, and I totally got sidetracked. We were talking about stuff. So here, if you wanted to start working on the homework now, we're done a little bit early today. I'm sorry. That's fine. Stick around if you got questions. Otherwise, I'll see you on Tuesday. Have a good weekend. Oh, this past Tuesday? You got it now? Totally fine. Throw it fine. I got you. I got you. Don't you worry. Uh-huh. Oh, that's weird. I had a bunch of people in there. What did it say? What error did it give? Let me turn the camera. Let me turn the camera off, Esther, real quick. Sorry about that. I'm trying to run into you.